guys, welcome back to another video. So it's been a while since I spoke to y'all recently, and in today's video I just want to tackle a few questions around whether the UK is still a conducive place for people who are internationally trained healthcare professionals to come to the UK. Also, there has been a lot of talk about proposed changes where the ILR, which is essentially the UK PR, which is available to people right now within 5 years of being on a work visa, moving to a 10-year route, and how this might impact potentially the further or present internationally trained healthcare staff. So in today's video, we're going to try and break down all of this and discuss so much more, especially if you are somebody planning to come in 2026 in the UK as an international healthcare professional. But before we move ahead, my name is Nikita and I make videos about moving to the UK as an internationally trained healthcare professional, either on the student route or on your work visa, and delving into finances as somebody working in the NHS. And if any of this is of interest to you, do not forget to subscribe to me on YouTube, but also follow me on Instagram. My handle is Physiotherapy in UK. Let's get into the details of today's video. So the year of 2025 has been a massive big boom in the timelines for UK immigration generally, because this year has seen not only changes in the student visa but also in the dependent visa, the higher thresholds of skilled worker visa, and now potentially changes in the immigration in terms of the UK PR, which is the ILR. So let's just understand what are the changes happening. So on the 8th of September 2024, there was obviously a massive parliamentary discussion on the potential changes and the impacts of the ILR on people generally in the UK. Now, this was a very big live streamed parliamentary discussion where nearly about 10,000 people logged in and viewed in to view this parliamentary discussion live. So basically in this particular discussion, there were two main agendas being raised. So firstly, most of the MPs, which is the members of the parliament in the UK, were suggesting that obviously people who are in the UK on skilled worker visas, their present route of 5 years should stand and it shouldn't be extended to over 10 years. Now, I haven't watched the entire parliamentary discussion, but I remember there was this specific MP from Cornwall who was representing one of her constituencies. So one of the people who are staying in Cornwall, who is a doctor working in the NHS, and she was explaining to the members of parliament how it would be extremely disruptive for him, who's obviously a very high rate taxpayer in the UK, but also has family in the UK and is not sort of supporting this route change to 10-year mark, and would suggest that presently for people who are in the UK who are already on skilled worker visa or health and care visa, the route stays at 5 years. Second part was for Hong Kong BNOs, which are people who are living in the UK from Hong Kong, and whether the 10-year route or the 5-year route would be impacted to them. Now again, for the basis of this video, I think it's really helpful to put out there that over 150,000 people signed the petition that they would like the skilled worker visa route to stay at 5 years for ILR, which again was something that sparked parliamentary discussion about it. So now moving on to the next question. Based on the discussions that have been done so far, will this internally impact people who are already in the UK or people who are considering to move to the UK? And as somebody on a work visa, would you like to come to the UK in 2026 as a part of this particular discussion? Now, I think over here, firstly, let's tackle the first part of the question, which is, will it impact people who are already in the UK as a healthcare staff? I think what has been the general theme across the parliamentary discussion, and that has been put forward by many MPs in the UK right now, is that they would like to retain the 5-year route to present skilled worker and health and care worker visa holders, provided obviously this goes through massive rounds of discussion, and obviously there is a very definite process that needs to be followed. However, the general sort of sentimentality around it is that they are hoping to retain the 5-year route for present visa holders. However, again, this is my personal view, and this is what I've sort of gauged from all of the reels and the YouTube videos that I've watched related to the actual live parliamentary discussion. So again, we just got to take it as it sort of comes. So it's sort of every day, play it by ear and see what it leads to. But again, the second thing that you've got to focus on is for people who are already over here, is the term that was used in the white paper released on the 22nd of July, which was known as earned settlement. Now, in terms of earned settlement, what people in the UK have got to be mindful of is that people who are contributing very actively to the economy. Now, this obviously includes two things again. One is the taxes and the salaries that you are deriving. So say for example, if you are a band 6 coming to the UK, that would be on a salary of nearly £36,000, whereas if you are a band 7, that's about £46,000 that you are actively earning annually. Now obviously from this you will be paying taxes, but the taxes are obviously a considerable amount and you are contributing positively to the UK economy. So that just means that you are putting in some value to the UK already. The second thing that you've got to consider is people who are coming under the social care, under NHS, under care worker routes are contributing positively, because we are indeed helping the UK's healthcare sector to survive and thrive and provide care not only to the aged population but people who are already suffering from illnesses and are contributing positively to the UK. Now again, these are my bits of understanding related to earned settlement, which obviously was something that was put very vaguely in the white paper. But again, considering these 2 points, I think that most healthcare professionals are contributing positively and might come under this earned settlement route in the UK to stay within the 5-year mark. Now this is obviously applicable to most people in the UK, but let's talk about what happens to people outside who are coming to the UK or considering coming to the UK in the next year, that is in 2026. Now if you are a healthcare professional planning to come to the UK, you obviously have got to start your process right now, because as most of you all are aware, if you are coming, you need to apply for something known as the HCPC. Now, the HCPC is your license to practice in the UK as any healthcare professional in the allied healthcare streams. And again, if you need more help with this, do not forget to check out these videos, which give you more information about how you can do that. But in terms of scope of practice and what practice currently looks like, the practice in the UK can obviously be evolving based on what profession you are and how you practice and where you practice. But one of the major reasons why I chose to work in the UK as compared to India was the salary, because obviously as a very junior or a very novice young physio, the salary in India was nowhere cutting it, because I used to live in the city of Mumbai, where again the rental cost to just rent a 1-bedroom apartment was really high and was nearly taking up my entire salary, which was absolutely horrendous for me as a young professional. So that was one of the major reasons. But if you think about the scope of practice in the UK, the scope of practice is massive. Over here, physios can not only engage in things like injection therapy, but there are specialized courses to go on to do several other things. So for example, you can go on to do prescribing medication courses. You can go on to do some other courses that might be of relevance to you, especially if you are interested in specific fields of physio or other general fields as well. Now again, in terms of that, will the current routes or the proposed changes impact you? As of right now, there has been no discussion about when these proposed changes are going to come into effect. So if you remember, on the 22nd of July, when they did release the white paper, they said that all of these changes would be implemented between the timescales of 2025 to 2029. Now again, you've seen most of these changes come into effect already, which is things like changes in English language requirements, higher salary thresholds for skilled worker visas. But you've got to remember that none of this has impacted the health and care worker visa route already. So if you are a healthcare professional coming to the UK, it hasn't directly impacted any of us. The other thing that you've got to remember is that any ILR changes is going to be a massive, big change to impact most healthcare professionals and skilled worker visas, and none of these processes or changes to the ILR can be done lightly. It's not like a simple English language requirement change that can be put forward quickly. So it's going to go through a very rigorous process of parliamentary discussion, debates, consensus from constitutions, where they take in some feedback from what we have to say and go ahead and make this decision. So it is in no way a quick process, and that is what I want to say to anybody who's applying right now to come to the UK on a skilled worker visa or a health and care worker visa. Again, you've got to remember, guys, that even if you might come as a healthcare professional in the next year, there is that concept of earned settlement that I have described earlier in this video, where if you are an actively contributing senior member of staff in the NHS, you might be classified to get earned settlement in the UK, even under the current white paper rules. Again, they haven't described very clearly what the earned settlement is, But based on all of the research that I've done and based on my understanding, I've explained what the earned settlement route would look like. And fingers crossed, it should be applicable to any further healthcare staff coming under the health and care visa route. So if you are planning to come in 2026, hopefully those conditions and terms will stand for you as well, and you should not be worried about that. Now let's come to one of the final things in terms of recruitment for healthcare staff. I think the most important thing that a lot of people are coming to me right now is the fact that they are not landing interviews or they are not getting selected. I think recently I've had 4 people get back to me in the last month alone, who were my one-to-one clients, but also who've taken advice from me related to interview applications, related to job applications and interviews. And there were 4 people who've got selected for interviews in the UK. Now obviously they are waiting for their results in terms of realizing whether they are selected for the job role or not. But I think what's important to remember is that if you want to land a job in the UK, and if you are using the correct means of using, job applications and the right things that need to be on there based on UK standards, then your chances to get interviews are quite high still. There aren't as many job opportunities out there because of budget cuts, because of different factors in the NHS related to international recruitment, as compared to 2 or 3 years ago, where there was a massive boom or a massive hike in the number of job vacancies being put out there. But it is not a complete lull, and if you are somebody who's really keen on pursuing those goals, drop me a message saying session in the comments below, and I will send you a link to my website that has resources on the topic, that has in-depth discussions, and where you can get a link to book a session with me. So that's it from today's video, guys. Do let me know if you have any questions or comments in the comment section below, and I will try to get back to you. Take care and see you in the next one.